I know you're all in line back there to get books. There will be an opportunity to get books after the reading, but if you could find your seats and we'll get started, that would be wonderful. Thank you. So well. We are setting up some extra seats, so we are trying anyway. This is just a great testament to what a wonderful person Christine is. Yes, yeah. All right. Well, it's my job to introduce Christine. Here she comes. I'm going to introduce Christine here, say a few things. So welcome tonight to this, I'm going to call it Christine Fest. How's that? My name is Marty Ackett, and I'm the Adult Programming Coordinator for the library. I'm also the organizer of the NEA Big Read, one of the co-organizers of the Great Lakes Poetry Festival, and lots of other things. But I just am going to highlight a couple things that are still coming up for the NEA Big Read before I start talking about our wonderful, wonderful reader tonight. So tomorrow, starting at noon here in the community room, we're going to be screening On Golden Pond, starting at noon. You really want to be here at noon because the writer of the film that won an Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay is going to be introducing the movie for us and answering some questions. So I really encourage you to come tomorrow at noon here. Free popcorn if that's any draw. And then on Saturday, we have a keynote presentation. That presentation was going to be by Dr. Marty Reinhardt. Unfortunately, he's facing some health struggles, so we send out our best to Marty. And Dr. April Lindola is going to be joining us that day to talk about Native American boarding schools. So I think it's going to be a really very interesting and powerful presentation, and I really encourage you all to come. And then, if that's not enough, I'll take a couple days breathing, and then we're going to jump right into April, and I'll just highlight, since y'all are here, y'all, as my friend from Georgia says, y'all are here to hear some poetry. I'm going to highlight a couple poetry events next week. Kathleen Heidemann is going to be reading on April 1st right here in the community room, launching her book, The Caving Grounds. That starts at 6:30. And then on Thursday, April 3rd, upstairs in the Heritage Room, we have Josh Brindle, or J.J. Brinsky, who's doing a launch of his book, Beasts of Our Burdens, Ballads of Wing and Hoof, which is one of my favorite titles that I've come across recently. And then on Saturday, April 5th, we also have a reading of several people called Wild Words in the Wild UP. That is a partnership with the Upper Peninsula Environmental Coalition. That's going to be starting at 1 p.m. upstairs in the Shivers Room, when we have a wonderful, wonderful group of readers, including Christine, who will be there as well. So, now that I've gotten that out, let me thank the Friends of Peter White Public Library. We can't do a whole lot of what we do here without the Friends. They are wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people. And if you're watching on YouTube land right now, you have the Friends to thank for that, because they pay for all of our live streaming equipment. And we have the Carol Paul Memorial Trust Fund, who does all of our, pays for all of our musical programming too. I'm not going to sing tonight, don't worry, okay? So anyway, what can I say that you all already don't know about Christine? She is, I always tell people she is a force of nature, she is a force of art, she is a force of wonder, and she is a force of love in this world. That's how I can describe Christine. She's published quite a bit. You'll hear more about her story as she's reading tonight. But she's published a memoir, Love and War at Stag Farm, the story of the Hirschengut, an Austrian mountain farm. Did I say that right? Hirschengut. I tried. And also she has, in 2018, she published a collection of poems, Blossoms in the Dark of Winter, another really, really beautiful, beautiful book. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to introduce Christine with a poem. So it's a poem that I wrote, recently. It's called What's Wrong with Being Woke? It's not political, I swear. What's wrong with being woke? It allows me to be blinded by sunrises the color of ripe peaches, to sit with pen and notebook, chase feathered poems singing in the pines, to sneak to the fridge and eat the plums my wife was saving for breakfast, so sweet and so cold. To remember the burn of my mom and dad's coffee in my nose as I left for school, stepped outside after a night of snow, saw everything erased. So set your alarm, go to bed early, wake up and give thanks for another chance to save this wild and precious world. And that's what Christine does every day of her life. She saves this wild and precious world. Please welcome to the stage, Christine Saari.
Well, amazing, full house. Ooh. We have people here from Lansing, from Houghton, and from I don't know where else, but anyway, and from Marquette, of course. This is wonderful. Thank you for being here. Thank you. I'm tongue-tied, which is rare. Well, it takes a village to do a book. And there's lots of people here who have helped with it, who I want to thank. And I hope I don't miss anybody, but if I do, I have you in my heart. This book and the other book, the Blossoms in the Dark of Winter, would not exist without the Poetry Circle. This is an amazing town, that there are so many poets and so many artists and so many creative people, and we all inspire each other. And that makes a lot of difference, to have other people to be inspired by. And I was inspired by the Poetry Circle and the wonderful poets there, and I got a lot of help from Janine for my other book, and I have 2 wonderful blurbs in this one from Marty and from Beverly. And I had people who read the manuscript and helped edit it, and gave me pep talks when I said, I can't do this. So I thank you all for being here, for inspiring me, for loving poetry enough to come to an evening to listen. So I think I'll read some poems. This book, somebody said, oh, you're so prolific. I'm not prolific. This is years. I have just not put them together into a book. And I think this is my last hurrah. After this, although I have already started writing a series of travel poems, so who knows what's going to happen. So this book, I threw really everything in that I had. And I said to somebody, this is such a jumble of things. It doesn't fit together. And she said, well, it's all you. So whatever it is, it works because it's all done by you and it's about your life and it's fine. So I decided I'll just do it. I'm reading you the first book, the first poem, and maybe the last, and then we'll see what fits in between. There are 9 sections, different categories, childhood and family, and the UP, because that was the only way I could figure out how to bring some order into the chaos. So this is the first poem, and it's the first poem of the childhood section. My secret kingdom. My mother sits at her desk typing all day. I take off, roam in the hills. I hunt for chanterelles in the beech woods above. I find wild strawberries below the house. I pick bluebells in the neighbor's pasture. I climb pinnacle rocks in the forest nearby. I spy my neighbor's house far below, our farm beyond the forest in the distance. I look far into the valley. I am a princess who surveys her kingdom. Lastly, I seek out my refuge, the linden tree high on a ridge above a mountain stream. I must pass the charcoal burner's gloomy hut, his smoldering woodpile in the forest. I fear his wild beard, his black sooty face. I worry he might snatch little pigtails girls. But the tree lures me on. Out of its hollow trunk grows a circle of 16 tree-sized stems. I climb into the green bower, am hidden in the dense canopy. This is my retreat, my sanctuary, a magic place all my own. Here I can think, dream, and cry. Today I must cry, for I will soon leave to go to school in town. My strawberries will ripen without me. My bluebells will not be picked. My mushrooms will go undiscovered. My linden tree will be deserted. Let's just not clap in between poems. Let's clap at the end. This book, this poem is about it's also in the childhood section, it's about my father. And it's about the forest fire. We read it again and again, the book about the forest fire. Animals flee, fire licks trees, blackened stumps, utter destruction. Deer jump high, foxes leap, rabbits fly in the air. Will they all die, I ask my father, sitting in his lap, protected, while in front of me disaster strikes. The smoldering stumps intrigue me more than the wild flames, the aftermath. My father has begun to watercolor the black and white drawings. A call to war interrupts his work. I will finish when I come back, he says. He does not return. For years, I cannot bear to look at the book, half-colored. I think of it again when fires rage in the American West, on the European continent, as the globe warms worldwide. I've searched for the forest fire book at the Austrian farm, in maquette closets to no avail. How I wish now I could finish what my father left undone. I have to have a drink. I'm too dry in my mouth. Excuse me. Got it. John does that for me. My hands are very weak. Let me see. I have some cheat sheets here, so maybe that will help. So this is from the section about my parents. This is called A Wreath for My Mother. To some of you, this may sound familiar. A wreath for my mother. The Nazis glorified motherhood. That ruined Mother's Day for me, said my mother. I loved this day, a chance to gift flowers. I filled the table top with vases, gathered forget-me-nots in the meadow, climbed the mountain for lilies in the valley. Most of all, I searched for pearly everlastings, the delicate beauties in shades of pink, blossoms like the bottom of cat paws, straw flowers that would not wilt. We picked them together when I was little, made wreaths that would last. A tiny wreath for my father to take to war, a wreath for my grandfather's grave, wreaths to send to distant friends. Ever since, I've been seeking the little cat paws, pink in Austria, yellow in Poland and Greece, white in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. I give the wreaths for a birthday to commemorate a loved one as a token of friendship. That is what I want to give to you, my mother, on this day you so disliked. A little white wreath to remember the times we had together, to thank you for all you have done for me over the years we shared on this earth. So the poems about a lot of these poems are about Austria, about my childhood there, and about returning to the farm. I'm very, very fortunate that the farm is still in our hands. Our sons own it, and we spent a year there on sabbatical, and so they have a very personal attachment to the farm from that year and from being there with their grandmother. And then we had many years of difficulties to keep the farm going and to deal with all the troubles and tribulations that come with a place like that. But we still have it, and we have found a wonderful arrangement with our neighbors who are now our managers, and so we can be away without worry, and we can go back with joy. And we are about to depart on April 9th. We are going back for 3 months, as we do every year. Sentinels. 3 are left behind the house, 3 conifers, tall and tattered. My father planted them on his property when he began farming before the war. Planted rows of trees to form a rectangle, named it Tanneneck, German for square of firs. Over 80 years they grew taller and taller, spread their branches, dropped their cones, served as playground for squirrels. Crows spied from their tops. They fell one by one in storms racing up the mountain, struck by lightning, cut to give each other room. Today only 3 are left, in vigil over the valley. When I stand on surrounding hills, I search for these sentinels to find the farm, see them reach into the sky from far away, telling me where my home is. I trust they will outlive me, tower over the red tile roof for years to come, guide our sons and grandchildren when they hike, run in the hills, search for our farm in the distance. And we have some people here who have been there and know those trees. That makes me feel very good when friends come to visit, because I'm a different person there. And they know only half of me if they only know me from here. Yeah, then this next section is about John. When I did the Blossoms, and I gave it to John to edit, he's a very good editor, he said, "And where am I?" Whoops! Whoops! There was no poem about John. Ooh! So I wrote one. I did not know for John with gratitude. When I followed you to Hong Kong, China, Taiwan, I did not know the farm would be part of our lives. I did not know you would cherish the sunlight in our bedroom windows, that you would watch the Big Dipper in the courtyard square. I did not know you would nurture our forest, listen to the wind in the tall pear trees behind the house. I did not know you would save our casement windows, treasure old wagons and sleds, grow to love the cider made from our orchard trees. I did not know you too would love the farm, as I have all through my life, and that you would come back with me year after year. Thank you. Then there's a whole section about garments, clothes. Clothes is pretty much fun. Now, this is my Austrian disguise, as Christine Garceau, who did the cover of this book, my friend, would say, my Austrian disguise. I don't think it's a disguise. It's just me when I want to be Austrian. So there's, special dresses like the baptismal gown or the wedding dress. Those are just not daily wear. But then there is, a coat you had as a teenager that I loved, and other garments. This one is about my wedding dress. Delicate butterflies woven on smooth brocade silk, elegant yet cheerful. You were sewn in a Hong Kong tailor shop. In an Asian trunk on an Italian luxury liner, you traveled through the Suez Canal, journeyed from Singapore to Genoa. At our wedding in an Austrian village church, your butterflies danced to the music of Mozart. You crossed the Atlantic to America, hung in the closets of our homes. One day, I took you to the studio and cut you into pieces. Your butterflies now adorn boxes and shrines. They have come out of the darkness and glide in the light. And then there's a section about death and dying. and burials, which becomes more prominent these days. We spend a lot of time going to funerals, and sometimes it's pretty rough, you know. But we treasure everybody and keep them in our hearts, even if they're not here physically. So this is about the death of my mother. I was always afraid I wouldn't be able to be there because of the distance, and you never know whether you have enough time to get to somebody's last hours. We were in Austria to restore the farm, and right in the midst of it, she died. She knew, I told her, we are not leaving, we are here. And that's what she needed to know. She always stayed alive for the next visit. And she really was done. So I was grateful that we were there, but I did not witness her last minute. I was late. One hair. I did not witness your last breath. A kind helper holds your hand when I arrive 1 minute late. Maybe you chose to die before I came. Maybe it was easier without me there. I'm an only child, so my mother and I spent a lot of time together. I crawl into bed with you, cradle your bird-like head, stroke your fine white hair, hold your limbs still warm. It seems you're asleep. 2 women employees come to wash your body, a sacred task that should be reserved for me. I'm too stunned to offer. They bed you on embroidered linen, put flowers out, light candles. The doctor declares you dead. The priest says prayers. Old women walk in to say goodbye. She was in a rest home. Old women walk in to say goodbye. Then we are left to our private vigil. For 11 years you lived in this little room. Here you dreamed a magic world, gave lavish parties for your friends, told stories to your great-grandson's photograph, prepared for journeys you never took. Your cigarettes burned holes in your teddy bear. Have I met you before, you asked visitors you had known all your life? I'm tired from my travels, you told me yesterday. I long to go home to see my mother. When your skin becomes waxen, when your soul has left, we call the funeral home. They lay you into a pine wood coffin. The sound of the lid closing pierces my heart. My eyes are dry. At home, I unfold your shawl. The shawl I brought from America, navy blue, thick and warm. A long white hair is nestled in a fold. Your hair, so soft and tender. How often have I combed your silken strands? How can you be dead? One single hair, the last. Tears overwhelm me now. Something more cheerful, maybe? Well, this is also about death, but it's not quite as grim. Not quite as grim. Helen's heart. For my birthday on Valentine's Day, when you were ill with leukemia, you gave me your heart as a gift. An inch-sized stone from a trip to Greece, smooth like satin, light gray, gently curved. You said it had been sitting on your table. You wanted me to take it along to Austria. I brought it to the farm where we played together 15 years ago, where you kissed Cam under the blooming apple tree, where we marveled at the maple rising, where we walked to the fairyland dripping wall, to the magical valley along the turquoise stream, where we embraced my giant childhood linden tree, where we climbed through wildflower meadows to the mountain hut, the whole world at our feet. This little hut feels like it was made for my hand. I love to rub it between my fingers, my thumb, absorb its energy, envision the beach where you found it. I will keep it in my pocket wherever I go, and you will be with me. The war was affected me very much, of course, because my father was killed in it. And he wrote very beautiful letters to me when I was 5, when he was on the Russian front. And these letters are just my great treasure, and they are really responsible for any of the writing I've done. And my visual artwork, I worked for 20 years on a large collection of pieces called Family Album that is based on family photographs and documents and letters, lots of letters. And what was I going to say? So the war. And after the war was over, my family was in great strife too, because we were German. My parents came from Germany. They were academics who left Germany and their academic professions because of Hitler, and ended up farming in Austria. And the farm was taken away from us because we were German, and it took 10 years to get it back. So the war was very important in my life, even though, I was that little. And I remember when on May 4th, a whole troop of soldiers came and hid out on our farm, because the war was practically over, but not officially, and they were supposed to fight further down the valley. And their leader said, "I'm not risking another life. Can we hide out here?" And so I remember all these soldiers calling around on our farm, sleeping in the hayloft and boiling potatoes in the bathtub, a metal bathtub. They made a fire underneath and boiled potatoes. I thought that was very weird. Anyway, so I have a lot of poems about the war, some of which are in this book. This is 10 days before he died. What do you tell a 5-year-old about war? My father seized the occasion to teach me a physics lesson. When there is shooting, he writes, you must open your mouth so your eardrums won't burst. When there is shooting, he writes, the air pressure in our bunker blows out the candles and we sit in the dark. And he writes about death and destruction in a village. He does not say where. All the people have fled. Many dead horses lie on the ground. Only the chickens run around, and the soldiers are eating those. Amid such misery, my father finds beauty. Today is a sunny day, he writes. I heard a lark sing and saw 2 yellow butterflies. Okay, we'll finally get to the UP. Whoops. At camp. I never thought we needed a camp. You know, we lived in this beautiful place. The lake was just 5 minutes to walk. And why would you want a camp? But John wanted a camp. He loves old log buildings, and so he wanted to have an old log building, a camp. And I thought it was crazy. But I thought, well, you know, I'll go along with it. What can I do? And then the bug bit me. I really love that camp. And then sometimes it's me that say, let's go to camp. So we did need it, I guess. At camp, John's boyhood boat sails in the rafters. Grandmother's flower bin lives near the stove. Deer skulls rest on the shelf by the window. Father's cuckoo clock does not tick anymore. We have an outhouse under the hemlock. Dishes are chipped, pots full of dents. We don't take off our shoes or wear slippers. Our clothes comes from the thrift shop in town. Flowers bloom wild and the grass grows high. We pick wild berries for breakfast. We hunt for mushrooms after a rain. Our water flows from a spring in the forest. Mice nest in the chest of drawers. Not so many anymore because we have people who take care of these mice now. Mice nest in the chest of drawers. A pine snake lives under the deck. Wild turkeys leave feathers on pathways. Red squirrels gnaw through the logs. We glide down the river in search of the beaver. We wonder where the heron has gone. The dipper stands high in the clearing. The moon shines on our bed. We read by the glow of kerosene lamps, go to bed before it is dark. We make wolf howling love in the sleep loft under garlands of blooming wild hops. Pretty romantic, huh? At camp, we dream, we putter, we play. We leave the city behind, don't listen to news. Here, the past meets the present. Our souls are restored. Time stands still. This whole section is called, This is Not Wilderness. And we had a debate, John and I had a debate. He didn't like that. But that's how I feel. You know, it's not wilderness, but it's still wild. Oh, the beaver. Kathleen Heidemann likes this poem. I don't know whether she's here, but I'll read it for her, whether she's here or not. The beaver. The beaver comes out from under the waters at 9 in the evening and crisscrosses the river. Loud splashes from his powerful tail tell us we are not wanted here. The whitefish is his territory. We are intruders. Only once he let us come close. We canoed down toward the falls, where the river becomes dark and narrow, where dead cedars hang into the water like giant porcupines. As we drifted toward the hollowed-out bank, we saw his eyes gleam. We held still, looked straight at him. He looked back without alarm, quietly slid into the river. And then I guess one camp was not enough, so we had another camp. That's another log building, and it was a sauna. So it's a tiny little camp that was made out of this sauna building. It's a very special place on the Mulligan. And in the year 2000, I hope I find this now. In the year 2000, when we had that awful, no, I can't think of the word. Pandemic, yeah. We couldn't go. We usually go to spend Thanksgiving with our children in downstate, but we couldn't travel, and so we decided to have Thanksgiving at camp and at the Mulligan. That usually at this time of year can't be reached because there's so much snow. But that year we could get in. So people were kind of worried that we went in there and thought, well, maybe we'll get stuck for the winter. But we got in there, and this poem is dedicated to Kathy Davis. Bill and Kathy Davis, some of you might know them. They're not with us anymore. They had a camp in Grand Marais, and when they dissolved their camp, they gave us their bed. They had a nice metal bed and their stove. And so at this camp in the Mulligan, we have the Davises' stove and bed. This year, for Thanksgiving, we are not driving south across the big bridge toward the glitter of Detroit. We're headed northwest into the woods. We leave behind the city of Marquette, the town of Ishpeming, homesteads, camps. Finally, we reach the Mulligan Valley, escarpments on the left and the right. The road narrows, snow-covered, rutted, turns into a small two-track through new-growth pine. We parked the splattered truck, wheel cart firewood, food supplies, water on a winding path to our small log cabin, a sauna once, now a camp retreat. Years ago, we wheeled in the cast iron stove, the antique metal bed with its heart design, gifts from Kathy and Bill Davis when they emptied their camp in Grand Marais. Tonight, they will keep us warm and comfortable. On this gray and gloomy day, the setting sun suddenly sets the ridge on fire. A golden glow lights up fir tree candles, reaches distant woods, fades in waves, then darkness and cold descend. John makes a fire. I light candles, kerosene lamps. We move the table close to the stove, play a game of Scrabble, sip 51K and Guinness, settle early into our sleeping bags laid out on the bed. I drift into sleep, give thanks for our friends, for the warmth and comfort of this night. Unaware, this will be Kathy's last day on earth. I think of tomorrow. We will eat a humble meal, long for our loved ones far away. What a gift to be alive. And Kathy died in that night, and it was really uncanny because I felt so close to these people that I really knew very little, but that they were there. And we still have the stove, and the bed, and the mice. So with all these wonderful places, I love Marquette, I love the lake, I love living here. We have this house and the camp, 2 camps. But the farm is still my soul place. And going there is just very crucial. 146. This poem I'm going to read for Beverly because she liked that one particularly. It's called Blue Gentian. I had walked by this place often. How could I not have seen this path before? A path lined by deep blue blossoms, blossoms on arched stems, willow-like leaves. Unearthly they seemed to me, magical. I follow the fairy path. It crosses a stream, winds uphill, ends on top of a rock. A pinnacle reaching high above the forest, crowned by red pine, the ground soft with moss. I search for the gentian the following summer. They have vanished. I never see them again. Has fertilizer killed them? Poisons from the air? How I rejoice when I see the blossoms at Wildcat Canyon here in the Upper Peninsula where I now live. So they died out there, but they are here. Flowers are such a joy for me. I just couldn't live without flowers. And the wild ones are the best. So this is a poem about flowers. It's called Earth Laughs in Flowers, after Ralph Waldo Emerson. Isn't that beautiful? Earth laughs in flowers. Flowers, ephemeral beauty, home for elves and fairies, food for bees and beetles, lure for butterflies and insects. From early childhood into old age, my greatest joy. The first blossoms in spring, in the meadows of my childhood. Blue hepatica at the edge of the woods on my path to school. Anemones dancing in the wind, heads held straight, a tutu of green leaves. By the neighbor's creek, carpets of pale yellow primroses, keys to heaven in German. Sky blue forget-me-nots beneath the lilac bush, under the apple tree deep purple violets. Fragrant narcissus in wetlands along the Steierling. On the hillside above the farm, golden troleus balls. Flowers in predictable succession miraculously appear year after year in the same spot, rediscovered again and again, waiting to be picked, placed in vases all over the house, on tables, chests, windowsills. When summer comes, flowers grow taller, their color more intense. Hot pink carnations, daisies in deep yellow, columbine in hues of lavender, bluebells in shades of cobalt, cyan. Higher up the mountain, rare plants, too precious to take home for bouquets. Wild orchids in magenta, flaming orange fire lilies, exotic brown spotted Turkish turbans, all blooming where no fertilizer is spread. Soon the first harbingers of autumn appear, cyclamen, their fragrance overpowering, delicate, transparent fall crocus, the last explosion of asters, a joyful exuberance before frost. Finally, when winter approaches, Christmas roses pop up on the forest floor. White stars with rosy cheeks, white stars with rosy cheeks, carpet bare woods. Hardy and delicate, they end or begin the annual circle, survive below freezing temperatures, the last flowers to bloom, the first to arrive after the snow melts. And I take photographs of these flowers, and I make cards from them, and I sell them in the gallery. So my Austrian flowers give joy to people in the UP. I'm going to read the last poem, but then I didn't know how long it was going to take to do what I intended to do. So I think I have a little bit more time to read some others that I hadn't planned on. But the last one is, so the first one is being this princess in the Austrian Alps. The last one is called, I don't know this book well enough yet. It's called The Passage of Time. For Ilyana, my friend of many years. How can it be that our babies are turning 50? We wonder as we celebrate another new year. It seems just yesterday that we sat on a soccer field bench, watched our boys kick a ball. We saw them grow and leave home, marry and have children of their own. Now Alexander's son has a bride. His daughter is about to get married. Our babies have reached midlife. In the years of our friendship, we shared our immigrant woes, visited each other's home countries, revealed the secrets of our childhoods. We witnessed our mothers grow feeble and die, worried about our husband's health, marveled at our grandchildren's beauty. We have grown old. We used to worry about our children. Now the tables are turned. So, time for one more? Where's one more? Okay. I'll read The Dollhouse. Now, where is it? The Dollhouse. Day after day, I work at the dollhouse. While towers burst into flames, I lay wooden floors in tiny rooms. While people jump out of windows, I place tile after tile on the steep roof. While New Yorkers run through the streets dazed, I make shutters, windows, and doors. While families search for their loved ones, I paint, hammer, and saw. I think of my granddaughter Lily, 4 years old, and the upturned world she will live in from now on. I think of Wietzek, the young Pole, forced laborer on our Austrian farm. In the midst of a war, at Christmas 1944, he built a dollhouse for me, the 4-year-old daughter of his enemies. I think of the healing work of hands in the face of destruction. By Christmas, the house is finished. I scour junk shops and thrift stores. I find an iron cooking stove, tables and chairs, find beds and couches and chests, a cradle, a high chair, a bassinet, dishes of pewter, ceramic, a tin colander from my childhood. I find miniature dolls to live in the house, father, mother, a boy, girl, and baby. Their furniture as eclectic as our own. Lily dives into the world of her dollhouse the minute she walks in the door at Christmas on the 4th of July. She imagines her story after story for her family, invents drama, adventure, directs their lives. Her people arrange and rearrange furniture, clean, cook, and play. With every visit, they gleefully discover something new in the house, a sewing machine, tiny books on a shelf, a basket, telephone, a miniature Mongolian pot. For Lily, this house is a place of safety amid her anxiety. She was suffering from anxiety for many years. Thank God she's over that. For Lily, this house is a place of safety amidst her anxiety and the terror of our times. Here she lives in a world without illness and war. No evil befalls her people. She controls their fate. grown up now and going to college, she still finds comfort in her miniature world. "Don't tell what I'm doing here," she pleads. Soon she will have a place of her own and will take along the dollhouse. Its place on my chest will be empty. Thank you. Well, I could control my tears.
So Christine will be selling books back there and signing. I did want to read a couple messages that came through the live stream from people that Christine would have loved to be here but couldn't. One is from Claudia, and she says, "Hugging and holding you and your words close to my heart, Christine." Kathleen Heidemann says, "Congratulations, we love you, Christine." And Carol Strauss says, "So wonderful to be able to tune in from New York and enjoy every minute. We look forward to receiving your poetic memoir. Congratulations, Christine, we love you." So let's give her one more big hand. Yes. And Christine broke the record. This event, out of all the events of the NEA Big Read, drew the most people. It's pretty amazing, yeah. Speaking of the NEA Big Read, here's a segue for you. We have these little evaluation forms that we use to prove to the federal government that programs like this are really, really important and should be, you're falling asleep there. We have to prove to the federal government that these kinds of programs are important because you never know when funding dries up. So we want to keep on supporting the NEA Big Read and the NEA and putting on programs like this. So if you can take a couple minutes to fill out this survey so that we can continue to bring wonderful programs like this to you here at Peter White Public Library. So stop by, get a book from Christine. Thank you all for coming tonight. You have been a blessing, just as Christine has been a blessing tonight. So thank you so much.